FM. We're also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app, and of course you can always find us too on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget, you can watch us, so we are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And today we got one of my favorites in the studio, Miss Heather Wilmoth. She's a caregiver to her husband Nathan, who is living with Huntington's, who joined us last year, but she's back to remind us that it's time for Team Hope Walk Mississippi for Huntington's Disease Society of America and catch us up. So welcome back, Heather.
Thank you. I love you. You're so sweet.
Well, I love you too. I also love the idea of spreading awareness and just keeping the Huntington's conversation going, because it's not an easy topic.
Nope.
It's not an easy disease for your family to live with.
No, not at all.
But that doesn't make it go away. Right? They're just not talking about it because it's hard. And you and your husband have done such a good job of showing the face of it, or being the face of it, at least for the small circle that is our SuperTalk family and who you have on Facebook, and keeping that conversation going.
Yeah. May is Huntington's Disease Awareness Month, but every day, every month is Huntington's Disease Awareness Month for us and families like us. So HD was a disease that was kind of pushed under the rug. Mm-hmm. A dear friend of mine, or a mentor, I guess is what Miss Marilyn would be more like, would tell us about how her mother-in-law had it. And she was kind of slipped a pamphlet and said, "We don't talk about this, but you need to know." And so many families just wouldn't talk about it, or it was just so rare that people were thought to be schizophrenic or bipolar or these other things, when in reality it was Huntington's. And so once we got over Nathan's diagnosis and processed it, we hit the ground running, because the only way that you're going to get things done is to be vocal, and to if it takes sharing our story, then we'll share our story millions of times just to get that awareness.
Because with awareness and being vocal, and the more people who know about it, the more people who care about it, the more research there's done,
right.
The more drugs that are developed, the more therapies that are done, and then families and lives are changed. Mm-hmm. And it's not as rare. Like when I think rare, I don't know what I think rare is. Like I don't know what my parameters around that are. But I feel like there's way more families affected by mm-hmm. Huntington's than most people would think, even mm-hmm. just here in our state. So what is sort of at least the numbers that you know, Heather? Because I know there's a lot more that don't even know it yet.
Right. At the last count that I had, it's over 200 families. But I always say, how many people are in a family? Mm-hmm. We're a family of 4. My husband, my stepdaughter, my son, myself. But there's also the extended family that may not have Huntington's, but that's a brother, that's an uncle, and he is loved. And how many other families are like that, right. And it touches a whole community of family and friends. So it's not just those 200. It's way more than that. And that's part of what we try to express and explain, is that, yeah, Nathan may be the one with Huntington's, but it affects all of us that love him. Mm-hmm. And, so that's why we try to be vocal. Plus, and you kind of touched on it. I'm always saying, with awareness comes funding, with funding comes research, with research comes hope for a treatment or a cure, because there is no treatment, there is no cure. And that's what we're fighting for. I wanted that for Nathan. I still want that for Nathan. If there was some medication that we could take that would stop it where it is, we'd be the first ones in line. But we also have 2 kids at risk. And we're not the only family out there that have kids at risk. Or there are families out there that they know they have it. They've tested positive, but they're not showing signs and symptoms. And, I would want that to stop for them too. I would love it for our friends that are gene positive to never have to deal with it. So that's why we try to be so vocal about it and try to do whatever we can to bring awareness. And we've kind of shouted out, hey, we're here, this community is here, and we need help.
And I think you've also done a wonderful job by being vocal and being transparent, Heather, to show that you and Nathan made a decision and a commitment to find the joy in every day and make the best out of rough situations. And maybe not everybody who watches your story or hears your story is going to walk through something as devastating and long journeyed as Huntington can or has been, but we all sort of hit those patches that we didn't see coming. There's so many listening to good things that got a curveball. Didn't see that in the vision for my life, right?
Right.
But then you're met with a choice of whether you may process it and try to do the best you can with it, or you let it crumble you in the worst way possible.
And we almost did. I mean, our attitude at the beginning was like Nathan was going to be gone the next day. And then we stopped and realized that he's got life to live. He's got kids that need him. He's got a wife that needs him. He's got sisters and nieces and extended family and friends that need him. And so we decided, once we processed, once we got over ourselves, that we were going to, we weren't going to focus on the can-nots. We were going to focus on the cans. For example, Nathan cannot walk. He cannot talk very well. I mean, he can walk, but it's just
And that's being progressive.
Yeah, that's progressive. That's part of Huntington's. But we focus on what he can. Hey, you may not be able to do this, but we've got this chair now that you can still go and get stuck in the mud and have your wife and niece try to pull you out. We've got this speech device that you can still be vocal when it's tough and it's hard for you to formulate the words. And we did a little bit of voice banking, and we put literally 2 of our best friends and Nathan's sister and I are in a group, in a texting group. And I text them. I said, "Okay, this is what we've recorded so far. What can you guys think of that I need to have him say and voice bank?" And some of the things that he's got in that voice bank aren't things we can talk about. But it's just, it's Nathan's personality. And so we still, he can still be, in a sense, productive. He's still, we're trying very hard for him to still have that quality of life.
How long, I know Nathan's been living with Huntington's, obviously, he was obviously born with it, but in terms of finding out and then it progressing, so how long have you and him been walking this journey of a progression of Huntington's disease?
Well, Nathan's actually lived with it his whole life because his mom had it, and that disrupted his childhood. But he actually formally was diagnosed in 2016. But looking back and knowing what to look for now, we know that he was probably showing signs and symptoms, and the disease started showing up in him in about 2011, 2012.
Had you had more awareness and known, is there anything that could have been done, and why it's so important for people to get their head out of the sand and get tested if they feel like they're in that sort of special sector that could have it? Is there anything that could have happened, or was ignorance kind of bliss until 2016?
Well,
or is that a tough question?
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm totally transparent with it, as you well know. We had the knowledge that it was a possibility, but you never think it's going to happen to you, and then the curveball hits. Mm-hmm. So we knew that this was a possible life for us, but most people, it's a personal decision. Mm-hmm. Nathan, up until that point, ours, as you well know, was a life insurance thing. He had to take a higher life insurance monthly payment because of his mom's Huntington's, and that was the catalyst for him to go, you know what, I'm tired of this hanging over my head. If I've got it, we'll deal with it. If I don't, then I'm getting the cheaper rate. Unfortunately for us, he had it, and, we just learned a new normal, and we learn a new normal quite often, and that's okay. I mean, he thankfully, Nathan's still Nathan. Nathan may have Huntington's, but Huntington's doesn't have Nathan. And he's so sweet, and he's so positive, and a lot of Huntington's patients lose that. But one thing about it, if you feel or suspect that you may have it, there's so many trials out there that are starting up that really want people that are barely showing signs and symptoms. And who knows, one of those trials might have a medication that could help.
Which is hope, which is exactly what you guys will be walking for. So we've got more with Heather Wilmoth. You may have heard our guest voice a time or two. Heather, what's the station that you represent daily?
Well, there's 93.5 in Summit. Macomb Summit, and then 102.1 in the Monticello, Brookhaven, Hazelhurst area.
I feel like folks are like, yeah, I knew that voice. I just didn't know how I knew it.
And sometimes I do get to do some commercials outside of us and in the SuperTalk family. So it's fun. I'll get a friend that I used to work with or something in Memphis and go, hey, I just heard you on this station. I think I just heard you. Yeah, I've done a commercial for them.
Yeah. It's funny. Okay, we're here to talk about, you've got this weekend coming up, May 18th, the Team Hope Walk for Mississippi for Huntington's Disease Society of America. What year is this for the walk?
This is the third.
Okay.
The third. And if you had told me 3 years ago when I was sitting here all nervous and thinking we weren't going to be successful, I think I even told you off air then, our goal is 6,000. I just don't know if we'll make it. And then we hit almost 14,000. And then last year our goal was 14, and we just barely missed it. Our goal this year is 15, and we're at 10 last time I looked, which was early this morning. We were at 10 and so excited, but I'd really love to surpass that goal because the funds that are raised with these walks, and they go on all over the United States, they fund our centers of excellence, which is strictly for Huntington's care. And we have one right here.
We have one now, right?
Yeah, we have one. It's been there for about 2 or 3 years now.
And the difference between having that and within your driving ability versus not, what does that mean for you and Nathan?
Here it's an hour.
But I mean, what does it mean to have it within distance that you can get to?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, just knowing that we're only an hour away, and our other doctor that we see is at UAB in Alabama. That's a 4-hour drive. But knowing that if we need immediate care, all we have to do is call or email or contact our doctor here, and Dr. Wong is, he's right there on it. And our doctor at UAB is too, but
it's just a little further.
It's just a little further, and having Dr. Wong kind of out of our back door or north of us, it's huge. But see, here's the thing too, not all neurologists understand or know Huntington's. And, we end up with people that aren't familiar with Huntington's, and you're in the neurology spectrum too, educating our doctors. We had a separate issue at a separate facility that they wanted to send a neurologist in, and I'm like, hey, we've got 2, we don't need 3. And they sent this guy in, and I'm like, hey, look, I appreciate your time, but this is what we're dealing with. And I mean, I basically educated him because he literally said, well, that's not what I read before I walked in here. Well, we're living it. So
appreciate it. Aren't you cute? Yes. Thank you. Sit down. No.
You're so sweet. Sit down.
So these Center of Excellences are so important to the families and the care that patients with Huntington's receive. And so just by being that, when you hear things like that, Heather, hear your and Nathan's stories or others, for some of us that are on the outside who don't have family members walking through it, it's like, gosh, how do I help, right? Like, how do I be a part of the solution? I don't think anyone listening doesn't want to help you guys or be a part of finding a cure. But then it's like, I can't do that. But yeah, you can support a walk. You can sort of, get into that. So let's talk about the walk. What will be happening Saturday?
Well, we'll meet at 8 a.m. for registration. Hopefully I'll get there in time. Last year I was a little late. But registration begins at 8. Walk begins at 9. You can go online right now and register at hdsa.org/THWMS, Team Hope Walk Mississippi. And you can create a team. You can join a team. You can just donate. Or you can come out, hang out with us for the walk. And the reaction I get a lot is, I just don't know if I could walk. That's okay. Hang out in the pavilion. Well, you don't have to walk.
It's not like a 5K.
Yeah, it's not like a 5K. Now we've had some someone that has expressed interest in helping us do a 5K along with the walk. But that would be, our walkers could stay, and then our 5Kers can do their thing. But that's down the road, because I'm still new at this. I'm still learning. I mean, Nathan and I wanted to do this for so long, and then finally one year I just said, will
Nathan be there?
Yes, Nathan will be there. Unfortunately, the nice new fancy chair will not be, because our handicap accessible, I can't speak today on statewide radio. Our handicap accessible van has broken down. So I can't transport the chair in our SUV. So otherwise we'd have all the fancy gadgets, so our other Huntington's community could see, hey, and these are tools, because I'm the gadget girl. I get told I'm the gadget guru with Huntington's, because I look for things, and we had so much help getting things like this chair and getting a speech device. And I want our other Huntington's community members to be able to have access to these kinds of things. So, if I could, it would be there. But, just the fundraising aspect and helping us spread awareness.
Yeah.
I mean,
and have some fun.
Yes, have some fun. Come hang out with us. I promise we're a fun bunch. We laugh a lot.
So registration's at 8, Heather. What else? How does it progress after that?
Well, after that, we do have raffle items. My sister-in-law has been great in being able to help us get some raffle items. UMMC Nurses Neurology has donated some stuff. YMCA has donated some stuff. And then a dear friend of ours, Jill Gilbert, has. So what we'll do is we'll have the walk, and then after the walk, you can purchase tickets for the raffle. And we've got a lot of stuff. My sister-in-law has just been really, really awesome about being able to get things. So I really don't know what all we've got, because folks have been helping her and taking it to her. So I haven't really seen everything this year. So it was nice to delegate a little bit. She was able to help out with that.
Is any of those raffles online, or is it all be in person?
No, it'll all be in person. We tried doing an auction last year, but we found that the raffle the day of seems to work really well in helping us get more donations and everything. And see, these fundraising efforts go to funding centers of excellence, education days to educate our Huntington's community and our community that's not familiar with Huntington's. It also goes towards grants for research to help find a treatment or a cure. So these walks really do, the money raised really does go into the Huntington's community in all kinds of different ways.
Which we can easily be a part of, even if we don't know how to be a part of the bigger picture. Just being part of the conversation, I think, is also important with that as well. And getting to meet, I think, families and realizing it has a face.
Yeah. Because granted, I've got SuperTalk. Not everybody has SuperTalk. But, I've got this family that helps me share my voice. But there are so many other faces to Huntington's. There's juvenile Huntington's that is just, as much as Huntington's is horrible for our adults, juvenile Huntington's is so hard to watch your babies have to deal with stuff like that.
Seems cruel.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if I've even mentioned, we're so used to talking about it. Huntington's disease is a terminal.
We didn't even, yeah.
It's a terminal neurodegenerative brain disease that's like having ALS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's all at the same time. Sometimes there's schizophrenia and some of the other diseases like that. They're kind of in there. A lot of the mental diseases but it's best described as ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's all at the same time.
And progresses
very progressive.
Different speeds for different
people, but it's still very progressive. Like, for example, in 2021, I think it was, we were going to an event and we had to have a wheelchair And now Nathan, that was just, when we were
4
out.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's a fancy schmancy.
Now it's a fancy schmancy
one. All the gadgets, the gadget queen.
Yeah.
But also our favorite to talk about this topic, Heather. So one more time, where do we go to sign up?
hdsa.org/Team Hope Walk Mississippi. I'm THWMS, and also it's at the Flowood Nature Park Saturday morning
At 8 a.m. We look forward to having you back for year 4.
Thank you.
All right, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.